I don't know if I'm the only one, but I have a problem with French onion soup. Often the soup is too watery, there's too much cheese, and the onions can sometimes be a textural hell. This is where French onion bisque comes in, silky, smooth, and substantial. It starts like every other onion soup with an assload of onions. For this recipe, I'm using about 6 pounds of yellow onions. You could technically use whatever onion you want, but yellow onions are fairly traditional and they have a good oniony taste with a decent sugar content. Onions have visible grains just like meat, and traditionally you want to cut with the grain to stop it from breaking down as much, but since we want them to break down, I'm going to cut them against the grain. Once the onions are cut, you need to caramelize them. Start with some onions in a pot or a pan with some salt, thyme, and then at this stage you could blast the onions with the heat while you have the lid on to soften the onions. You could give them a stir every once in a while. Once the onions soften, lower the heat and stir more often until they become nice and caramel brown. Onions with higher sugar content will get a darker brown, and this will also have a higher tendency to burn, so watch out. Once the onions are caramelized, add a few dashes of Worcestershire sauce and about a 1/4 cup of sherry and 1 stick of butter. Once the butter is melted, throw everything into a blender until it's a nice smooth puree. This is where a good blender will come in handy. Next, make a slightly browned roux by using 3 tablespoons of flour with 4 tablespoons of melted butter. Lightly brown the roux and then gradually add in your beef stock and incorporate between each addition. Once that comes to a boil, add about 1/3 cup of heavy cream, whisk, and then let it simmer for 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes, we're going to add all of the onion puree into the pot. Whisk to incorporate, and then salt and pepper once you get the desired consistency. To add an additional oniony flavor as well as some texture, make some fried shallots, just by thinly slicing a shallot, coating with flour, and then frying until lightly brown. French onion soup is nothing without some Gruyère cheese, but while I love the cheese, chewy globs of hot melted Gruyère in my soup isn't very fun texture-wise, so making a grated Gruyère crisp is definitely the play. All you gotta do is grate some Gruyère on some parchment, bake until nice and crispy and lacy, and then break into pieces. Now it's time to plate. First, just the bisque, a little bit of extra Gruyère cheese on top, the crispy shallots, the cheese crisp, and then some fresh thyme. And there you have a French onion bisque. It's definitely one of my new favorite soups of all time, and I would definitely take this over a normal French onion soup any day.